The Generals of the Yang Family, Chapter 37.
Imagine, if you will, a heavily pregnant military commander.
Right.
And she is in the absolute dead center of a supernatural battlefield, just surrounded by shifting walls of enemy soldiers and like this dark swirling magic.
No, it's intense.
Yeah, and she is fighting a pitched battle on horseback. And right there, in the saddle, amidst the deafening roar of early artillery and the clash of steel, she gives birth.
It's an incredible image.
It really is. And in doing so, she literally shatters a wave of dark magic that was threatening to consume her entire army.
Yeah.
Welcome, learner. If you are joining us to find out how on earth a scenario like that even functions, well, you are in exactly the right place.
It is a profound, almost hallucinatory image, isn't it?
Totally.
But within the context of the universe we are exploring today, it actually makes perfect, rigorous tactical sense.
Exactly. Today, we are immersing ourselves in a really fascinating slice of classical military fiction from Chapter 37.
Right, which is a massive text.
Huge. And for those of you who might be new to this specific text, we are looking at a cornerstone of classical literature. It details a high-stakes, multi-faction war between the Song army and the northern Liao forces.
Who are often referred to in our source text as the fan soldiers.
Right, the fan soldiers.
And we must clarify right away, I mean, this is not your typical historical recounting of troop movements.
Not at all.
The warfare described here, it operates on a completely different physical and, well, metaphysical level.
Yeah, it's characterized by these elaborate, almost puzzle-like battlefield formations called arrays.
Precisely. And these arrays are not just, tactical shapes on a map.
Right, like a phalanx or something.
Exactly. They're treated as literal living beasts. They are infused with a blend of gritty, mud-and-blood combat and high-level supernatural martial arts.
And the family dynamics driving the conflict, we're going to look at a complex web of loyalties, generational trauma, and perhaps most strikingly to a modern reader, the absolute undeniable leadership of the women who just completely dominate this narrative.
We aren't just here to summarize a battle today.
No, definitely not.
Our objective is to dissect the intricate psychological warfare at play here.
Yeah.
We want to understand the surreal tactical logic where a troop formation can literally eat you alive.
Wow.
And we want to explore how the most impenetrable, magically fortified defenses are often brought down by the most unpredictable human elements.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the first major event in our sources, because it essentially sets the dominoes falling for the rest of the conflict.
It really does.
It begins with a staggering, opportunistic decision from an enemy commander to completely switch sides. Her name is Huang Qiongnu. She is a commander of the Northern Forces, the Fan Soldiers. And her motivation for defecting, well, it requires some serious psychological unpacking.
Yeah, we have to look at the inciting incident.
Okay.
The text tells us that she has just returned to her tent after suffering a deeply humiliating defeat at the hands of the Song forces.
Ouch.
She explicitly laments that she brought her elite troops from 1,000 miles away only to suffer sort of profound public disgrace.
Right.
In the martial culture of this narrative, a sting to one's honor of that magnitude is just intolerable. It requires a drastic rebalancing of the scales.
But she doesn't just vow to fight harder tomorrow.
No!
She remembers a paused childhood betrothal.
Let me set the scene. Apparently, years ago, a prominent figure named the late Deng Linggong had acted as a matchmaker.
Yes, Deng Linggong.
He arranged for Hong Kong Nu to marry the sixth son of the Yang family, a man named Yang Lu Lang. But because Deng Linggong passed away, the arrangement was just, put on ice.
It was a voided contract gathering dust. Right. And here is where her tactical genius, or perhaps her sheer ruthlessness, kicks in.
Oh, absolutely.
She realizes that the very man she was promised to, Yang Lu Lang, is currently serving as a top general in the opposing Song camp.
The very camp that just humiliated her.
Exactly. So sitting in her tent, nursing her bruised ego, she makes a highly calculated decision.
She does.
She decides to defect to the Song dynasty, marry Lu Lang to secure her position, and then use the Song forces to exact revenge on her current northern army to wipe away her shame.
Notice how personal honor and political maneuvering are inextricably linked here.
I am reading this and thinking, what a wild pivot.
It really is.
She essentially says, I hate my current situation so much that I'm going to dig up a voided childhood marriage contract, defect to the enemy, marry their top general, and use his army to destroy my former colleagues.
Yeah, we might look at a marriage proposal and think romance.
Right.
But romance is arguably the least important factor, and Huang Qiannu's mind. This is an opportunistic strike. She is leveraging a dormant political tie because she recognizes that her current faction cannot offer her the glory or the vengeance she requires to restore her honor.
So she sends a secret letter to a commander in the Song camp, Lady Ma, to set this all in motion.
And Lady Ma is understandably hesitant.
Yeah, you don't just blindly trust a letter from an enemy commander you fought yesterday.
You really don't.
She takes it up the chain of command to the family matriarch, Lingpo.
Okay.
And learner, here is where we get an incredible look at the internal dynamics and the contrasting leadership styles within the Song camp.
The generational clash is fascinating.
It is. You have the older women, Lady Ma and Lingpo on one side, and the prospective groom, the top general Liu Lang, on the other.
The generational and ideological clash is revealing. Lingpo, the matriarch, she searches her memory and confirms the political reality of the offer.
Okay.
She says that back when they were in Heidong, there was indeed such a proposal, but they lost touch after the matchmaker died. Lady Ma vouches for the tactical reality. I mean, she was the one who humiliated Huang Qiannu on the battlefield, so she believes the motivation for the defection is entirely genuine.
It is a reaction to shame, not a ruse.
Exactly.
So Lingpo, armed with this information, goes to Liu Lang. She presents the plan. We accept the defector. You marry her. We gain a massive tactical advantage.
And Liu Lang pushes back hard.
He completely rejects the idea.
He does. Liu Lang is acting as the archetype of the dutiful, perhaps overly rigid, traditional general.
Yeah.
He acknowledges the childhood rumor, but he cites his national duties.
All right.
He argues that with the heavy responsibilities of the state on his shoulders, with an active war raging, this is absolutely no time for a minister to be focusing on marriage.
He wants to wait until the northern threat is completely exterminated before even discussing personal matters.
Yes.
Wait, I have to stop here because I read Liu Lang's response and I immediately wanted to jump into the text and shake him.
It is frustrating.
Think about it like a high-stakes, modern corporate scenario, right?
Okay, I like that comparison.
If a rival company's top executive and someone who knows all of their trade secrets, all of their internal vulnerabilities, the exact layout of their servers comes to you and says, I want to bring my entire department over to your side right now. You don't say, well, let's wait until the merger's over and the market has stabilized.
No, you absolutely don't.
You take the win. You onboard them immediately before they change their mind.
That is precisely the argument Lingpo makes.
Thank goodness someone had some sense.
Her strategic mind is entirely unclouded by romanticized notions of wartime stoicism. She tells Liu Lang that his rigid adherence to protocol is blinding him to a golden opportunity.
Right.
She points out that the state is in a desperate war of attrition. They have a critical shortage of talent right now.
She basically tells him if you reject her now, or even just tell her to wait, you are going to breed suspicion.
Yes, exactly.
You will turn a potential inside ally into a bitter, paranoid enemy who knows we rejected her.
And Lingpo explicitly calls it a chance to kill two birds with one stone.
Right. You gain a massive tactical advantage by crippling the enemy from within, and you fulfill an old societal obligation.
It is pure realpolitik from the matriarch.
It highlights a crucial theme we will see repeatedly. The women in the Yang family are consistently portrayed as the ultimate pragmatic strategists.
They really are.
Yeah.
They view the battlefield not just as a place of honorable combat where men clash with spears, but as a complex chessboard.
Yeah.
And every single resource, including marriage vows, enemy resentments, and psychological leverage, must be ruthlessly utilized.
Right. While Liu Lang is blinded by his definition of duty, Lingpo sees the underlying mechanics of victory.
Exactly.
So faced with his mother's ironclad logic, Liu Lang yields. He writes a reply, setting a rendezvous for the following evening at dusk, planning an inside-out attack on the enemy encampment. And learner, the execution of this defection is just devastating.
It relies on perfect synchronization, and it centers around one of the enemy's formations, specifically the tie-in array.
The text describes dusk approaching. Huang Qiannu gets her troops ready inside the northern camp. Suddenly, from outside the enemy array, war cries shake the heavens. Lady Ma, who initiated this whole back-channel communication, leads her Song troops and violently attacks the tie-in array from the outside.
And for our learner, we should briefly touch on what the tie-in array implies.
Oh, please do.
In Chinese cosmology, tie-in refers to the great yin.
Right.
It's associated with the moon, darkness, and receptive or hidden energy. It is highly appropriate that a stealthy, deceptive operation like a defection from within occurs within the energetic space of the Taiyin array.
That makes perfect sense. So Lady Ma is hammering the outside of this dark lunar formation.
Yes.
Huang Qiannu hears the Song troops, and she immediately springs her trap from the inside.
Oh, man.
She takes her own troops and just starts slaughtering her way out, attacking her own former comrades. The chaos must have been absolute.
Complete pandemonium.
She runs straight into one of the Northern Commander's elite guards, the Black Vanguard, who is patrolling the array.
And the text notes that the Black Vanguard is killed by Lady Ma in a single bout inside the array once she breaches the perimeter.
Wow.
The Northern Army utterly collapses under this synchronized internal and external pressure. A formation designed to face outward is completely defenseless when one of its own vital organs suddenly turns malignant.
Huang Qiannu and Lady Ma link up in the blood and the mud, smash their way out of the northern camp, and by the time the enemy commanders Han Yanshu and Xiao Qianzu even realize what is happening and try to pursue them, they are long gone.
Yeah, they miss their window entirely.
The Liao commanders are left with nothing but decimated troops and profound regret.
This sequence perfectly encapsulates the sheer volatility of the warfare in this narrative.
Totally.
You can build the most fortified, magically enhanced military array in the world. You can align it perfectly with cosmic principles.
Right.
But it can be entirely unraveled in a matter of minutes by a single, perfectly timed human betrayal. Lingpo was right. Opportunistic alliances are just as powerful as military might.
Absolutely. And when they get back to the Song camp, Lingpo is thrilled. It is a massive victory, and they celebrate.
Rightfully so.
But Lerner, as we quickly discover in our sources, securing an inside ally was just the appetizer.
Just the beginning.
It gave them momentum. But the real meat, the stuff that truly bends the mind, is how the Song army plans to dismantle the rest of the enemy's seemingly invincible architectural war machines.
The remaining magical arrays, they are facing a landscape dotted with these esoteric fortresses.
Exactly. With the internal defection secured, the Song army now had the momentum. But a defector can only get you so far when you are facing walls of literal magical fortifications.
Right, you need a different strategy.
How do you break a living array? This brings us to a fascinating planning session. The young commander, Zongbao, goes to consult with the Taoist master Zong to plan the next assault.
Yes, Master Zong.
They are targeting two specific, highly dangerous formations: the Iron Gate Golden Lock Array and the Azure Dragon Array.
We really need to understand the role of Master Zong here. In a modern military, he would be the chief intelligence officer combined with the head of the physics department.
Oh, I love that description.
Right. But here, he is the magical tactician. He reads the array maps, deciphers their esoteric pathways, understands the flow of cosmic energy within them, and dictates the precise timing for the attack.
Okay.
He declares that the third day, the day of Jiazi, is the ordained day to break these two arrays.
For our learner, let's break down why he specifically chooses Jiazi. What is the significance of that day?
In the traditional Chinese calendar, time is tracked using a sexagenary cycle.
Which is 60 days, right?
Yes, a repeating cycle of 60 terms made by combining heavenly stems and earthly branches. Jiazi is the very first term in that entire 60-day cycle.
Oh, wow.
It represents absolute beginnings, a total reset of cosmic energy, the initiation of a new era.
So it's not random at all.
No, Master Zong isn't just picking a day when the weather looks nice.
Right.
He is choosing the day when the universe's natural energy is geared toward resetting the board, which is exactly what they need to break the entrenched dark magic of the Liao arrays.
That is incredible. The scheduling of the battle is a magical act in itself.
It really is.
So Zongbao asks Master Zong, okay, the day is set. Who should we send to lead the vanguard? And Master Zong lays out his triage.
Right.
He says, the Iron Gate Golden Lock Array is the throat of the enemy, so we must break it first. We must use the female warrior Mu Gaing for that.
Makes sense.
And for the Azure Dragon Array, we need your mother, Chai Taijun.
And this is where the narrative introduces a completely surreal, yet rigorously internally consistent tactical logic.
Yeah, it gets wild here.
A logic that forces us to completely rethink how vulnerability and power are defined on a battlefield.
Yeah, because Zongbao immediately pushes back against this order. He says, Mu Gaing, sure, she is a phenomenal warrior, she can go. But my mother, Chai Taijun, she is heavily pregnant.
Which is a valid concern.
Totally. He asks, how can she possibly lead a vanguard assault against a hardened, magically infused military formation in her condition?
And Master Zong's reply is the crux of the entire metaphysical system of this universe.
Okay.
He insists that Chai Taijun must go, Not in spite of her pregnancy, but precisely because of it.
Because of it. Wow.
He states that her pregnancy created the vital energy of carrying new life is the exact, specific countermeasure needed to defeat the Azure Dragon array.
Right.
He says it is precisely with the pregnancy Kree that she will overcome it. I guarantee she will be fine.
Okay, wait. I am struggling to visualize this, and I'm sure you are too, learner.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Does the text actually explain the physics of this? Are we just supposed to accept that magic beats magic? I mean, the commanding officers are actively deploying a heavily pregnant woman into a magical meat grinder because her biological state is a tactical weapon.
Essentially, yes.
How does that actually work in practice?
To understand this, we have to completely strip away our modern, literal understanding of kinetic warfare.
Okay, stripping it away.
In this text, military arrays aren't just lines of soldiers holding spears behind wooden shields. They are vast, esoteric constructs.
Right.
They are physical manifestations of dark, destructive magic, drawing on the specific elemental alignment of their name. The Azure Dragon, for instance, represents formidable, ancient, potentially overwhelming force.
Right, it's not just a cool code name. It is channeling the energy of a mythological beast.
Exactly. So to break a supernatural construct built on destruction and dark energy, you cannot just use physical force.
Because it would just be absorbed.
Exactly. 1,000 swords striking a magical barrier will just break 1,000 swords. You need a metaphysical counterforce. In the Taoist underpinnings of this universe, vital energy, or Kai, is a tangible, manipulatable force.
It's the underlying fabric of reality.
Precisely. And the text treats childbirth and the creation of life itself not as a physical vulnerability or medical condition, but as an overwhelming elemental source of nature. It is the purest expression of yang creative, life-affirming energy. The pregnancy cherry is incredibly potent.
Right.
Master Zong recognizes that the dark, destructive magic of the Azure Dragon array can only be neutralized by the absolute pinnacle of life-affirming energy.
So it's like using a massive surge of positive electrical current to short out a system running on negative current.
That is a very apt way to think about it. It is the collision of the physical and the metaphysical. Zongbao and Lu Lang are terrified of the physical risk to her body, which is a completely rational human reaction.
Of course.
But Master Zong is playing the esoteric chessboard. He isn't looking at her as a fragile human. He's looking at her as a massive battery of creative cosmic energy.
He sees the underlying code.
He knows her specific energetic state is the only key that fits the lock of the dragon.
Zongbao, still deeply worried, takes the plan to his father, Lu Lang. And Lu Lang is again hesitant.
Naturally.
He says, how can we disobey military orders from the master? But she is pregnant. What if something goes wrong? Zongbao basically says, the master says it will be fine, and we will send the veteran general Meng Liang to back her up.
Which is a good insurance policy.
So they issue the secret orders. On the appointed day of Jiazi, Mu Giying and Chai Taijun each take 30,000 elite troops, and with a thunderous row of cannons, they advance.
The ensuing battle sequence is magnificent.
It really is.
And what is truly brilliant about it is the contrast between how these two women execute their respective assaults. It is a profound study in distinct command styles and different applications of warfare.
Let's look at Mu Giying's front first.
Okay.
She is attacking the Iron Gate Golden Lock array. Her approach is incredibly systematic. It is almost industrial in its precision.
Very methodical.
She takes her 30,000 troops and immediately splits them into specific functional units. She takes 10,000 of them and arms them with specific ancient firearms, fire cannons, and rockets, and gives them strict orders to hold their fire until the exact moment of engagement.
We should pause and consider the historical context woven into this fiction.
Yeah, the firearms.
The use of early gunpowder weapons here, like fire cannons and rockets, is crucial. The Song dynasty was indeed the period where gunpowder weapons began to see significant battlefield applications.
Right.
Fire lances, early fragmentation bombs, and rocket arrows were terrifying new technologies.
So the text is blending high magic with the bleeding edge of historical military tech.
Yes. It shows that alongside the Taoist spells and the martial arts, there's a deep reliance on technological superiority and combined arms tactics. Mu Giying isn't relying on a magical aura. She's relying on suppressive artillery fire.
She takes the remaining 20,000 troops and sends them on a flanking maneuver through a treacherous path called the Nine Dragons Valley.
A classic pincer move.
Exactly. Her goal is to attack the array from the north and eventually link up with Chai Taijun's forces. Then, Mu Giying herself launches a frontal assault to draw the enemy's attention.
Smart.
She meets the enemy commander commander, Ma Rong, whose forces rush out of the gate like a landslide.
Notice her tactical patience here. A lesser commander might just charge headlong into the fray to prove their bravery.
Not Mi Gaiying. She uses a classic, highly disciplined maneuver, the feigned retreat.
Or the feigned retreat.
She fights Ma Rong for a bit, trading blows, and then pulls her forces back just enough about the distance of a single camp's visibility. She makes it look like she is losing ground.
The feigned retreat is one of the most difficult maneuvers to execute in ancient warfare.
Why is that?
Well, you have to convince the enemy you are breaking without actually allowing your own troops to panic and turn it into a real rout. It requires absolute discipline.
And she pulls it off perfectly. She lures Ma Rong out of the safety of his fortifications. She draws him in close. They fight for a dozen bouts, keeping his focus entirely on her.
Hook, line, and sinker.
And then the trap springs. Her flanking troops advance along the corridors. The enemy realizes they are being surrounded, and the array deploys its automated defenses. These terrifying things described in the text as iron beard and claws.
Given the context of the Iron Gate Golden Lock array, these iron beard and claws likely represent a mechanical or magically interlocking defensive mechanism integrated into the troop formation.
Like what, exactly?
Think of an impenetrable wall of interlocking spiked iron shields suddenly snapping into place.
A literal iron lock.
Oh.
And how does Mu Gaiying break the lock?
With firepower.
She unleashes the artillery. Her specialized 10,000 troop unit, the one she told to hold back, fires a massive coordinated volley of rockets and fire cannons directly into the iron beard and claws.
Imagine the sensory shock of that. The deafening roar, the smoke, the sheer kinetic impact of rockets smashing into a tight infantry formation.
The text says the defenders were entirely shot to death. The defensive line is instantly pulverized. In a panic, 14 gates of enemy elite troops rush out to try and salvage the situation, but the Song troops have already encircled them.
It's too late.
The Northern Army realizes they are trapped, and their morale shatters. Mu Gaiying surges forward through the smoke, lets out a massive shout, brings down her halberd, and literally beheads the enemy commander Ma Rong right there in the vanguard.
Wow.
The Iron Gate array is decisively broken.
It is a flawless execution of a complex battle plan.
Truly.
She utilized a feigned retreat to draw the commander out, combined arms to neutralize the heavy defenses, suppressing fire to cause panic, and a decisive decapitation strike to end the chain of command.
Right.
Mu Gaiying is depicted here as the ultimate, systematic, cold-blooded battlefield technician.
It is so clean and professional. But Lerner, meanwhile, over at the Azure Dragon array, Chai Taikijun is experiencing something far, far more chaotic.
Oh, completely different.
She isn't executing a surgical strike. Her battle is all about raw, agonizing endurance and holding the line against overwhelming force.
Yes, her battle is entirely different in tone. It is visceral, it is grueling, and it relies heavily on that metaphysical biological element we discussed earlier.
Her tactical plan is aggressive. She tells her supporting general, Meng Liang, to take 10,000 troops, navigate through an area called the Yellow River Nine Curves, and strike the array directly in the dragon belly.
The dragon belly.
She herself leads the main force to smash straight into the dragon head. The anatomical terminology used for the array is just incredible.
It really paints a picture.
She pushes into the left flank and confronts the defending general, a massive figure ominously named Ironhead Taisui.
A name that implies immense stubbornness, physical durability, and perhaps a connection to earth magic or heavy physical conditioning.
Yeah, he sounds terrifying.
Taisui is also a deity associated with Jupiter, often bringing misfortune to those who cross him. It is a highly intimidating title.
Exactly. He isn't going to fall for a feigned retreat. He yells at her, "Are you Song generals coming here to seek death?"
Right.
Taijun doesn't bother with tricks. She charges straight in. They fight, weapon against weapon, and it is a brutal deadlock. Neither can gain the upper hand.
It's a battle of attrition.
Then, Meng Liang's ambush from the dragon belly finally hits, throwing the northern troops' rear into chaos. Ironhead Taisui is forced to rally his troops, and he deploys the 14 gates of the dragon beard and claws against them.
The magical and physical defenses of the Azure Dragon are fully activated.
Taijun and Meng Liang are now fighting desperately, taking attacks from the front and the back. And this battle doesn't end quickly. It drags on for hours, all the way until dusk.
Which is an eternity in hand-to-hand combat.
The sheer physical toll of fighting a pitched melee battle, wearing heavy armor, riding a warhorse for hours on end is unimaginable for a healthy person.
And this is where the physical reality of her condition violently intersects with the esoteric combat.
The text says her strength is failing. The intense, unremitting physical exertion triggers her labor.
Right there on the battlefield.
Right there in the saddle, surrounded by enemies, she cries out, "The pain is unbearable." Her own soldiers are terrified. The text notes the color draining from their faces as they realize what is happening.
You can't even imagine the panic.
And in a split second, amidst the blood, the screaming, the smoke, and the clashing steel, she literally gives birth to a child on the battlefield. The trauma and exhaustion are so absolute that she immediately faints from the shock.
We have to pause and deeply consider this moment.
Yeah.
It is the thematic climax of the source text. We are witnessing the literal intersection of giving life and dealing death. It is the most vulnerable a human being can possibly be, occurring right in the center of the most dangerous, hostile environment imaginable.
And Ironhead Taisui, the enemy commander, sees this happen. He sees the enemy general collapse over her horse.
And he seizes the opportunity.
He immediately turns his horse around, weapon raised, to capture or kill her while she is unconscious. It is a moment of sheer impending terror for the reader.
Absolutely.
But then, and learner, I love this sequence so much that text says a squad of cavalry arrives out of nowhere, hitting the line like wind, thunder, and lightning. It is Mu Ying.
She has finished completely destroying the Iron Gate array, reorganized her forces, and cut her way through the battlefield to save her mother-in-law.
The timing is miraculous.
It feels miraculous, but it is actually the direct result of Mu Ying's flawless tactical execution on her own front. Because she achieved her objective so cleanly and quickly, she was free to act as a highly mobile, devastating reserve force.
Mu Ying intercepts Ironhead Taisui just before he can reach Chai Taijun. They clash for 2 violent bouts. And here is where the esoteric magic returns in full force.
Yes, the magic.
Ironhead Taisui quickly realizes he is completely outmatched by Mu Ying's martial skill. So he resorts to his supernatural defenses. He attempts to use a magical escape mechanism, transforming himself into a streak of golden light to flee the battlefield and survive.
A classic Taoist escape technique in this genre of literature.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's very common. But he fails. And the reason he fails is the exact validation of Master Zon's bizarre, seemingly reckless strategy.
Right. The text explicitly states that his golden light magic is broken by the blood key. Let's dig into that.
This is fascinating.
The raw elemental energy of the battlefield, the physical presence of birth blood, and the massive metaphysical surge of vital life energy entering the world acts as a localized, supernatural EMP.
That is a brilliant analogy.
It completely short-circuits his escape spell.
This is a profound philosophical statement embedded in an action sequence.
How so?
The esoteric, highly structured, refined magic of the Northern Commander is shattered by the most raw, visceral, chaotic human biological event possible. In Chinese folklore, certain types of bodily fluids, particularly blood associated with birth or menstruation, are often depicted as deeply taboo but incredibly powerful forces.
Right.
They are forces that ground or dispel esoteric magic. The blood kai is anathema to his dark sorcery. It forcibly pulls him out of his pure energetic state and slams him back into vulnerable physical reality.
The magic is literally grounded by the messy reality of human life. And the very second his magic fails and he materializes back into his physical body, disoriented, Mu Ying doesn't hesitate.
No, she doesn't.
She throws a flying knife and kills him instantly. The Northern Army, seeing their invincible commander drop dead, is instantly routed. Meng Liang slaughters most of the retreating forces, securing the perimeter, and Mu Ying rushes forward to Chai Taijun.
And the physical aftermath of this is just as compelling as the magical combat.
I was thinking about this, learner, and the closest analogy I can come up with is a perfectly timed cavalry charge in a blockbuster movie. You know, the Rohirrim arriving at dawn to turn the tide.
Right.
But it's so much more intense than that because it's not just a military victory, it's the ultimate multitasking survival scenario. Mu Ying isn't just saving the day with a sword. She arrives, kills the magical general, and then she has to physically catch a newborn baby mid-battle.
Yeah, literally catching a baby.
She tucks the infant into her armor to protect it, ensures her mother-in-law is safe, and actively commands the tactical withdrawal back to their camp.
It completely redefines the concept of the warrior archetype in this literature.
Completely.
The narrative is explicitly stating that the female power to create life, the biological reality of motherhood, is not a hindrance to martial prowess. In fact, when harnessed correctly and placed in the right cosmological context, it is the ultimate weapon against forces of pure destruction.
They safely return to camp, present the newborn baby to Lingpo, the matriarch, and she joyfully remarks that he looks just like his father.
A happy ending to a crazy day.
They name the child Yang Wangwang, born in the blood of the Azure Dragon. It is a completely miraculous, overwhelming, statistically impossible victory. The Iron Gate is smashed, the Azure Dragon is broken, the Song army is riding the highest of highs.
But as any student of military history or classical literature knows, when an army secures a massive, seemingly miraculous victory, a very specific and dangerous psychological condition usually falls right behind it.
Hubris, the victory disease.
Exactly.
Success breeds immense overconfidence.
Inevitably. When you believe the cosmos itself is bending to grant you victory, you stop checking your corners.
And the Song army is about to push their luck, which brings us to the next massive confrontation in our sources.
The Liao strategists are not done.
No, Han Yanshu and Qin Yan have just suffered a catastrophic defeat. They have lost 2 of their primary magical arrays, several top commanders, and tens of thousands of troops. You would expect them to be in full retreat or panicking, but they are not. In fact, they remain incredibly, chillingly confident.
Yes, Qin Yan stands on the observation platform, watches the destruction, and turns to his commander. He says, "Even if they can fight like demons, they can never break my maze array. When they come for it, I will ensure not a single piece of Song armor returns."
So arrogant.
They are setting a deliberate, highly calibrated psychological trap. They know the Song forces are flushed with victory, running on pure adrenaline, and will be eager to press the attack immediately rather than resting.
The Song forces regroup in their camp. Zhang Bao consults the Taoist master Zhang again to pick the next target. Zhang looks at the map and says, "Next, we break the White Tiger array."
The White Tiger array.
Zhang Bao asks who should lead the Vanguard charge this time, and Zhang points right at the top general, Lu Lang. Now, Lu Lang, the seasoned, highly experienced commander, wants to lead by example. He wants to maintain the incredible momentum his family established the day before.
He feels the pressure to match the incredible feats of Mu Gaing and Chai Taijun.
Exactly. So the very next day, in full heavy armor, Lu Lang takes 20,000 elite cavalry and charges straight into the mouth of the White Tiger array.
Which is exactly what the enemy wanted.
And this is where the Liao forces spring their trap. The enemy commander, Su Heking, rides out to meet Lu Lang in single combat. They clash, weapons ringing, and fight for about 30 bouts. It seems like a standard engagement. But then Su Heking does something we have seen before.
But this time, it is being used against our heroes.
Su Heking fakes a defeat. He intentionally drops his guard, turns his horse around, and flees back into the depths of the array.
The feigned retreat strikes again.
Now, learner, Lu Lang is a veteran commander. He has fought in dozens of campaigns. He should absolutely know better than to blindly chase a fleeing enemy into an unknown magical formation. But he is riding that psychological high. He has his blood up. He smells a decisive victory.
If we look at the psychology of the battlefield here, the Liao strategists masterfully use Lu Lang's own momentum against him.
Yeah.
They weaponize his desire for a heroic victory. A feigned retreat only works if the target is aggressive enough to pursue. They knew Lu Lang, flushed with yesterday's success, couldn't resist the bait.
And as soon as Lu Lang is drawn deep inside, past the point of no return, the jaws snap shut. The text describes it vividly.
It's a great scene.
A single, resonant, golden gong sounds from the enemy command platform. The yellow signaling flags shift rapidly, and suddenly the entire environment of the White Tiger array transforms. It literally morphs around him into an 8 trigrams array, commanded by Princess Banzan.
Let's unpack the 8 trigrams for our learner.
Please.
This refers to the Bagua, a fundamental concept in Taoist cosmology representing the fundamental principles of reality, organized in an octagonal grid. In military terms, an 8 trigrams array is a formation designed to be infinitely variable. As the troops move according to the Bagua principles, doors become walls, safe paths become dead ends.
The pathways he just rode down simply disappear. The environment becomes a confusing, shifting maze of dust, banners, and spear points. Lu Lang realizes with a sudden jolt of terror that he is completely trapped.
He's in serious trouble.
He's surrounded by enemies on all sides under a constant punishing hail of arrows and falling stones. He charges his cavalry left, and a wall of shields blocks him. He charges right, and a trench opens up. He cannot break out.
This illustrates a terrifying concept of fluid warfare. The arrays are not static fortifications like a stone castle where you breach a wall and you are in.
Right.
They are mechanical, living traps. The White Tiger array was just an inviting facade. The real, lethal threat was the shifting 8 trigrams maze hidden beneath it.
Think of it, learner, like the algorithm of a highly engaging, subtly hostile social media platform.
Ooh, interesting comparison.
It is designed to offer absolutely no friction when you first enter. It feeds your momentum. It gives you exactly what you want to see in Lu Lang's case, a fleeing enemy. But once you are deep inside, fully engaged, the architecture literally rearranges itself behind you.
Wow, yeah.
The rules change, the pathways disappear, and you suddenly realize you are trapped in a hostile echo chamber, being attacked from all sides with no clear exit strategy.
That is an exceptionally accurate modern analogy. The environment itself becomes the primary weapon, designed to disorient and exhaust the target before destroying them. And Lu Lang, despite all his martial prowess, is completely neutralized by the architecture of the trap.
He really is.
He is stuck in the belly of the beast,
Yeah.
slowly being bled dry, waiting to die.
So with your top commanding general trapped in a shifting mechanical maze of death, how exactly do you extract him? You can't just send more men in because they will just get swallowed by the same shifting walls.
No, that would just add to the body count.
The panic in the Song camp when they realize Lu Lang is missing must have been palpable. The few soldiers who managed to escape the snapping jaws of the trap run back to the young commander Zhang Bao and give him the terrible news.
Zhang Bao is momentarily terrified. His father, the backbone of the army, is about to be killed.
Yeah.
But he doesn't succumb to panic. He quickly regains his composure and orchestrates what can only be described as a masterclass in extraction operations. And he does it through a process of anatomical warfare.
This is hands down my favorite tactical breakdown in the entire text. Zhang Bao doesn't just send a massive army to blindly smash into the outer wall of the maze. He parses the enemy array like a cold-blooded surgeon.
He does.
He realizes that to stop a massive, highly coordinated machine of 100,000 men shifting in perfect unison, you don't fight the men. You cut the machine's communication lines. You have to take out its sensory organs.
Yeah, exactly. An array this complex, operating in the dust and noise of battle, relies entirely on a centralized nervous system of signals, specifically auditory and visual cues, to maintain its shifting formation.
Right.
If the soldiers don't know when to turn, the Bagua collapses. Without those signals, it is no longer a deadly maze. It is just a mob of very confused, tightly packed soldiers.
So Zhang Bao deploys a hyper-specific, highly synchronized, three-pronged special operations rescue mission. First, he calls on the fierce warrior Jia Zhan. He gives him 5,000 elite troops and tells him to attack a specific side road.
Okay.
He gives him a single, bizarrely specific objective. He doesn't say kill the enemy. He says, smash the enemy's gongs with your stone hammer. Zhang Bao says, make the tiger deaf so it cannot hear.
Note the metaphorical language. The gongs represent the auditory commands that dictate the rhythm and movement of the troops. Zongbao metaphorically links this critical sensory input to the beast's eyes. If it can't perceive the rhythm, it is blind to its own form.
Next, he calls on Huang Qunu, our opportunistic defector.
She's back.
He gives her 5,000 cavalry and sends her to strike the right gate. Her highly specific objective. Cut down the yellow flags. Zongbao literally tells him, make the tiger blind so it cannot see, and the array will inevitably collapse.
The massive yellow flags are the visual signaling system used for broad directional commands across the dust-choked battlefield. By targeting both the gongs and the flag simultaneously, Zongbao is systematically dismantling the array's entire nervous system.
Finally, with the flanks tasked with sensory destruction, he calls on Mu Giying, his heavy hitter.
The best they have.
He gives her 10,000 elite cavalry and sends her straight down the center corridor with one overriding objective: extract Lu Lang at all costs.
The execution of this three-pronged assault is characterized by brutal, overwhelming efficiency. There's no hesitation.
It is breathtaking to read. Zhao Zhan hits the side road with the fury of a thunderbolt. He immediately runs into the enemy commander Liu Ke, who is specifically guarding the tiger's eyes, the command gongs.
Right.
Zhao Zhan doesn't play games. He kills Liu Ke in 2 brutal bouts, scatters the terrified defenders, walks up to the command platform, takes his massive stone hammer, and smashes the 2 golden gongs into, as the text poetically puts it, powdered flowers and shattered snow.
A beautiful description of total, irreparable destruction. The auditory signals are instantly gone. The heartbeat of the array flatlines.
Meanwhile, on the other flank, Huang Xiongnu attacks the right gate. She intercepts the commander Zhang Shi, kills him with a single precise strike of her blade, hacks down the towering yellow flags, and then violently pushes through to link up with Zhao Zan's forces in the rear of the enemy array.
So fast.
The visual signals are gone. The tiger is now completely blind and deaf.
The psychological impact on the Liao soldiers inside the maze must have been immediate. They're waiting for the gong to tell them to shift left, waiting for the flag to tell them to raise shields, and suddenly nothing.
Just silence. Well, battle silence.
Just the screams of the dying in the dust. The array immediately falls into complete chaos. Su Heking, the commander who lured Lu Lang in, realizes his communication network is gone.
He panics.
He tries to ride toward the collapsing rear to see what is happening, but that slight movement exposes him to the center assault.
And thundering down that center corridor comes Mu Gang. She intercepts the panic Su Heking. He tries to maneuver his horse to run around the broken sections of the array, but Mu Gang just smoothly pulls out her bow, knocks an arrow, and while at a full gallop, shoots him straight through the neck.
Incredible shot.
He falls from his horse, dead before he hits the ground.
The command structure is now completely decapitated. The brain is dead, the eyes are blind, the ears are deaf. But there is one final, incredibly fascinating detail in the aftermath of this rescue operation that we cannot overlook.
Yes. Princess Banzan, the Liao royal who actually triggered the 8 trigrams trap in the first place, sees her husband Su Heking get shot through the neck.
Right.
She rushes forward, filled with grief and rage, to save him or avenge him. But she doesn't even see what hits her. From behind her, emerging from the rear of the broken, chaotic array, Huang Kongnu charges out.
The recent defector. The woman who just betrayed this very army a few days ago.
Exactly. Huang Kongnu rides up behind the grieving princess, wielding a heavy iron whip, swings it down with all her might, and literally breaks Princess Banzan's back.
It's brutal.
The princess spits blood, collapses, and somehow manages to drag herself onto a horse and flee alone back to her own country, completely broken.
This specific brutal action by Huang Kongnu is incredibly significant from a narrative perspective.
Why is that?
By severely and permanently injuring the enemy princess, a member of the royal family, she has crossed the Rubicon. She is definitively, publicly proving her absolute loyalty to the Song cause.
Oh, I see.
There can be no more whispers in the Song camp about her past, no questions about her true motivations. She has burned every single bridge to her former life. She has cemented her place in the vanguard of the Yang family.
So, amidst all this chaos, what is happening to our trapped general? Deep inside the collapsing maze, Lu Lang suddenly hears the sound of his own army's gongs and drums echoing from the outside.
Music to his ears.
He realizes the enemy's trap is failing and a rescue is actively happening. Reinvigorated, he rallies his surviving cavalry, fights his way out from the inside, meets up with Zhao Zan, who is happily slaughtering the confused, leaderless enemy troops, and together they completely, utterly shatter the remains of the White Tiger array.
It demonstrates the sheer scale of combat coordination required in this era, or at least in the idealized version of it. Zhang Bao orchestrated a synchronized, three-pronged special operations mission within the chaotic, deafening environment of ancient warfare.
Yeah.
It relied on precise timing, clear objectives, and absolute unwavering trust in his subordinate commanders.
It is a brilliant piece of tactical writing, but beyond the tactics, it also has a profound, humbling effect on Lu Lang. Which brings us to the final major event in our sources, humility and mobilizing the matriarchs.
Right, the aftermath.
The next day, back at the Song camp, everyone gathers to celebrate this massive rescue and victory. But Lu Lang is not boasting. He is deeply, fundamentally humbled by this near-death experience.
Yes, the text shows him doing something highly unusual for an archetype of his stature.
Definitely.
He stands before his generals, his subordinates, and openly admits his total failure. He says, "That array was truly bizarre. I fought until I was half drunk with battle, I let my momentum carry me away, and I completely lost my way. If the rescue troops hadn't arrived exactly when they did, my life would have been over."
Learner, for a top general in classical Chinese literature, a genre often obsessed with saving face and portraying infallible heroes to stand before his men and say, "I messed up, I got played, I was lost, and you had to save my life," is huge.
It shows immense vulnerability. But more importantly, it shows growth. True leadership is not about maintaining an illusion of infallibility. It is about recognizing when you were outplayed, admitting it, and adjusting your future strategy based on that hard-learned lesson.
It's a huge shift.
This fundamental shift in his perspective changes their entire approach for their final, most dangerous target.
Zongbao, riding the high of the successful rescue, suggests capitalizing on their momentum to immediately attack the next major enemy fortification, the Jade Emperor Hall.
The big one.
But this time, Lu Lang doesn't eagerly volunteer to charge in blindly with his cavalry. He's cautious. He stops Zongbao and warns them, "We cannot just rush this. There are unpredictable hidden traps inside. We must carefully identify the magical anchors and the mechanics before advancing."
He has finally learned his lesson about the shifting, deceptive nature of these magical arrays.
Yeah.
He recognizes that brute force, cavalry charges, and conventional heroism are no longer sufficient to win this war.
So, Zongbao takes this to heart, and he puts together the ultimate veteran squad. The text makes a fascinating implication here. When the physical combat is straightforward, you send the young hotshot generals.
Right.
But when the magic gets too deep, when the esoteric traps get too complex and reality-bending, you don't send the young men, you send the grandmothers.
It establishes a fascinating, entirely unique hierarchy of power within the military structure.
Zongbao literally invites his grandmother, the ultimate matriarch Lingpo, along with his seasoned aunts, the 8th sister and 9th sister, into the central command tent. He addresses them with deep respect and says, "This time, the magic is too deep. I must trouble grandmother and my 2 aunts to take the Vanguard."
And Lingpo?
She doesn't even blink, doesn't hesitate for a second. She just says, "This is for the royal cause. To end this threat, how could I possibly decline?"
And notice the highly specific, spiritually critical mission Zongbao assigns to them. He doesn't just tell them to attack the walls. He tells Lingpo that his intelligence indicates that inside this specific array, there is a mystic anchor, a spiritual leader known as the Old Mother of Mount Li.
Which sounds incredibly intimidating.
It is. Zongbao realizes that before the conventional army can even attempt to fight the rank-and-file fan soldiers or break down the physical doors of the hall, they must completely neutralize the source of the magical distortion.
Right.
He tells Lingpo, if you go, your primary objective is not to kill soldiers. You must first capture this spiritual anchor. If you neutralize her, the rest of the array will be easy to attack.
So while Lingpo and the veteran sisters handle what is essentially a high-level magical assassination mission behind enemy lines, a conventional general, Wang Yi, is sent to attack the main hall with regular troops to provide a distraction.
It's a great plan.
It is just incredible. Learner, I kept thinking about how often traditional historical stories or even modern action movies completely sideline older characters, especially older women.
They are usually just giving advice in the background.
Right. They are relegated to the background. But here, the story continually sidelines the traditional male heroes, even the top general Lu Lang, in favor of highly capable, multi-generational female warriors. When the situation is most dire, when the magical threat is at its absolute peak, they call in the grandmothers to finish the job.
And they do so because the matriarchs possess a trifecta of traits that the younger men lack.
What's that?
Decades of hard-won experience, a deep understanding of esoteric knowledge and Taoist cosmology, and the absolute unflinching ruthlessness required to dismantle a supernatural threat at its root without falling for psychological traps.
It demonstrates a profound level of respect for their capabilities, and that is exactly where our excerpt from the sources leaves us, on this incredible cliffhanger, with the ultimate veteran squad of grandmothers marching out of the camp to face the terrifying Old Mother of Mount Li.
Setting the stage for what is sure to be an epic, magic-shattering confrontation.
A perfectly orchestrated place to pause our analysis. It leaves the reader desperate to know how the metaphysical duel plays out.
It really does.